I'm at now, which is in a different way serving people. So I'm not doing
Hmm.
traditional personal training necessarily
Hmm.
anymore. I'm kind of in what we titled this the holistic space. So
Yeah.
helping people piece together more than just the working out. And that's a huge part of what you do. So
Yeah,
love
yeah,
to see it.
absolutely. So, someone just asking you explain about kinesiology and
Yeah,
that, so yeah, what is kinesiology and
sure.
how do you use it?
Yeah, so kinesiology is essentially the science of the body. A lot of people, study it and go multi-directional, like into more PT, like physical therapy. Some people that's their launching pad into like more medicine side of things, or in the kind of personal training world, or more biomechanical.
Mhm.
I kind of studied it while being an athlete. That was kind of why I got into it, because I was like, oh, I love the body. Are you kidding? This is fascinating. And it spoke to where I was at in my running career.
Hmm.
And it wasn't until I experienced my first like real bad injury, the one that sat me down and was like, oh man, I don't know if I can come back from this, that I started getting more into that like rehabilitation side of things.
Okay.
And then I got transferred that into personal training, where I was like, okay, maybe I could help people get strong and balanced so they don't experience the injury and what I kind of gone through. So yeah, kinesiology is really the science of the body.
So how now? So you started off doing personal training, studying movement, and now what have you transitioned to now? Like, who do you work with? How do
Yeah.
you approach helping people?
Yeah, I kind of coined the term because, it's tough to kind of go from years. I was like 15 years personal trainer and everyone knows me as that. And not a bad thing. Obviously, that was great. Coined the term guided journey, because how I kind of approach things is, someone comes to me and they feel like maybe there's just something missing. Like maybe there's an imbalance going on, or they've struggled bouncing around with their weight or pain or what have you that they've been experiencing. And I kind of act like the middleman to help connect to individuals like you, to help connect to functional medicine doctors who can do deeper lab work, to work with them on their movements in maybe some like non-traditional ways. Maybe it's repairing their relationship with movement, because a lot of the time we associate movement with like, I got to do this because I gain weight, and like, so there's that mental side of it. So it's really not a one size fits all, like super unique experience where someone comes to me and it's more of like, let's sit down, and I always joke like a detective show where you have your red strings, connecting everything on a
Yeah, yeah,
wall.
yeah. The
Like
board.
let's take a moment and create that, and help kind of bring clarity to it, because that was what I felt like I needed in my experience. So I'm trying to provide that.
Okay. So what was your personal journey with it?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, let's talk about, because I feel like you were a huge part of it. So many of your videos address things, which told me, it also made me feel like I wasn't alone, because I was like, a lot of people must, clients you would see, or people you would work with, right?
Mm,
So it really started with symptoms that I did not, even with my years of school and experience with working with people in the personal training space, I thought they weren't connected, right? I thought they were really random. I wasn't looking at the holistic picture. I was looking at like, this thing's wrong, must fix this. And it started with neck discomfort. I won't even say pain. Just
okay.
like all of a sudden I start losing range of motion. But being the like stubborn, bullheaded kind of athlete mentality I was like, I just train a little harder and I'll work out the kink. And, I wasn't really paying attention to thinking it could be a deeper issue or cause or correlate to other things. So it was like neck discomfort. Then I would get random bouts of dizziness. Go to
Mm,
the doctor. They'd be like, yeah, vertigo, crystals in the ear. Yeah, nothing much you can do, or you can take this medication. Wasn't really a fan of that concept. So I wanted
right.
to not necessarily, I want to see if there's other options. I want to figure this out. Right.
Yeah.
Then plantar fasciitis in both feet. I thought
Mm,
that's so strange. Being a runner my whole life, I would have expected to get it when I was in the pinnacle of my running years, not when I was just randomly taking a jog, casually.
yeah.
And then brain fog, then extreme fatigue, then I would get hoarseness of my voice. And I'm all the time, instead of looking again holistically, I'd be like, oh, well, I talk too much training. Like I have so many people I talk all day. It's that. And I'm just like looking at these things with a very, narrow lens, and
Right.
honestly looking for quick relief that
Mhm.
I wasn't healing. Because okay, you take an Advil and a little stiffness here that this goes away one day, it's not solving it, right?
Mm.
So it really was a journey of kind of things whack-a-mole, like things popping up.
That's how it starts. You have to fail and take shots and figure,
Yeah,
because if you were the type of person that, or had the type of situation where you just had a musculoskeletal joint muscle issue, then then you would have taken those approaches, which makes sense, and it
right.
would have got better, and that would have been fine.
Yeah,
So, and there's a lot of people that fall into that bucket. There's a lot of people who have, in my world, oh, I woke up with jaw pain, it goes away in a week,
yeah,
or I had neck
yeah,
pain, it goes away. And like that's a whole different class. And then there's a different section or population of people where it keeps going on and does not end. And like that's really what I deal with. And I usually tell people too, like if you have a new pain, unless it's like very severe pain and you actually can't function, if it's an ache or pain, you don't have to get too crazy. Like put some heat or some ice on it, let it relax, take time off, see if it gets better. But if like a week turns into a month, turns into 3 months, 6 months, yeah, now you need to start taking more action. But some things just go away in a week.
yeah. And you bring up, I think that's like such an interesting thing that I wasn't cognizant. I learned on this journey of this balance. And I know you have videos on this and like can speak further, but this balance of like awareness, hyper
Mm,
awareness,
yes.
doing enough, doing too much. Like, and that is something I struggle with. Maybe it's like a type A personality, bit of perfectionism mental, or also just like knowing a lot about my body.
Hmm.
And I'm not fully healed yet, but
Yeah.
definitely much better than 5 years ago, and all of it kind of popped off. But I catch myself where there's kind of a reminiscent feeling, like let's say it'll be like a little kind of stiffness. I wake up in the base of my skull, I'll freak out, right? And I have to catch
Mm.
myself. I'll be like, oh my god, I got to do this stretch and do this, and then make sure I do jaw exercise, and to try to prevent. And sometimes that actually makes it worse because I'm so
Yeah.
hyper aware that day.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah,
So, okay. So that makes a lot of sense. I get why you're doing what you do now.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, it is one of those things of, I'm sure you can relate, like working with people um is the best experience,
mhm.
and then going through your own journey is like also, so it's like you can grab knowledge from both areas, right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so let's just talk about some of the things that you were having, like the dizziness, the brain fog, the headaches. Like, what
Yeah.
have you found to be helpful strategies to
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
watching can take with them?
Yeah. So kind of full circling it to when I had found, I'm pretty sure it was vagal nerve, and I was deep into thinking like that could be what was going on. I thought I had great posture
Mhm.
until I saw a video. I think someone had taken in the gym, maybe. And
Mm. Yeah.
I was to the side, right? And I had my head forward, and the way I
Mhm.
was speaking, and I was like, really, I was doing this, right? And I was like, oh my God, I don't have great posture. Like this is a component. So that kind of put that on the board for me. And then the second thing, so we'll circle back to that, but that had a vagal relationship. And then the second thing was how I was dealing with stress.
Mm.
Thought I was doing great. I
Right.
thought I had a great stress management approach of just pretending like I wasn't stressed. And then if I ignored it, it wasn't there, right?
Right, right.
Yeah. So, really, how I first broke into the chronic pain cycle was related to the vagus nerve.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Were there certain strategies that you used for those vagus nerve that are helpful?
Yeah, so the first thing that I did, which I overlooked as being, like as critical as it was how I was breathing, like
Mm.
doing breath related work. How I was breathing, even like sleeping, like mouth breathing was brought to my attention. I was snoring a lot, just all these things I didn't know, right? Or think that were related. And then I started doing a lot of what you have done videos and talked about greatly, of working on creating some space in
Mhm.
this, cervical jaw, that area. I did not know. Wouldn't have even thought I had classic TMJ,
Mhm.
again, how I thought of it before, but I did. Like I did.
Mm.
I had major jaw issues going on. So it was starting here.
Mm.
And once I had my foot in the door, that's when things started to kind of become more clear.
Okay. And then what else? I know, so kind of challenging the nervous system. So like when we're looking at the nervous system, there's different ways that different people look at it.
Yeah.
Some aspects, one component is like central sensitization or peripheral sensitization. That just means that the nervous system is taking stimuli. Like you
Yes.
see the skeleton behind me,
Yes.
you poke it here, that shouldn't hurt. But
Yeah.
when you're hypersensitive, suddenly it does. Or a little
Yeah.
pressure now produces a lot of pain, or something that
Yep.
should be painful produces pain, or
Yes.
a certain part of your body gets activated, and normally the
Yes.
pain you would feel it here, but instead it goes somewhere else. These are all dysfunctions that make your nervous system hypersensitive.
Hmm.
Now, another way people look at it is more about the emotions behind it. So deep stored
Mm.
emotions and traumas and things you're not aware of, and your body producing physical pain almost as like a distraction from this big emotional piece that needs to be worked out. And that has to do with deep emotions. Some people feel that
Yeah.
emotions are stored in the fascia. Some people
Yeah.
feel that you have to actually just allow them to, you have to work them out using therapy and different journaling, etc.
Yeah.
And then there's other ways too. So like when it comes to the nervous system, um,
Yes.
what are there certain ways that you feel that you've been able to calm it down besides the vagus nerve? Are there other
Yeah,
parts to it?
it's something that you have recently talked about a lot too, or I guess I just saw a video I think today where you talked about it, and it seems, I think you called it granola, which is hilarious. I love
Oh
it, but
yeah,
mantra, it's actually talking to yourself.
yeah,
And again, I was coming from this place of, I had injuries before, they always heal. Like, what's wrong
yeah,
with me now? Or just really not. I think when you don't see, this is the trap of, or the trick of chronic pain. When you can't find the light at the end of the tunnel, like you don't see the plan, right? Like, if I do this and this and this, it'll equal this, which is relief. You It is so critical to work on those mental narratives and what you are believing, telling yourself, really integrating, because if you feel like there is no hope, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know how to get out of this, like it truly is a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So
yeah,
starting with those was really huge too, is having, I didn't know, I didn't trust my body. I don't know what came first, chicken or the egg, if it was a lack of trust that I just didn't know, and it got unearthed during this process, or going through some of the chronic pain and these symptoms I experienced made me weary on my trust with myself. But I wasn't trusting that I could heal. I wasn't trusting my
mhm,
body. I was like, every day I wake up, there's a new thing. Like, what the heck?
yeah,
Like, there, like, this is not safe. So it was really creating a terrain of safety, which did not happen overnight. Let me tell you,
right, yeah,
that
not
takes work.
yeah, when we go back to like the nervous system and it being that it's hypersensitized, what made it hypersensitized, is it some type of like deep emotion? But also there's just really like, for lack of a better term, health anxiety. Like, why hasn't this gone away? 10 doctors told me 10 different things. Am I going to be able to work? Like, is this going to kill me? Like what, just
Yeah,
the fear, you may have had no trauma whatsoever, very normal, happy life, but just now that this is happening, that alone
that.
becomes it. So,
Yeah,
but a lot of times, like, a lot of people, they do the medical testing and the imaging, and if it comes back negative, but they still have pain, it creates a confusion. Like, so why is this? But I always tell people you should use that as your kind of reason to say,
yeah,
like, okay, so I'm safe. Like, all the scary things
yes,
are ruled out. And now
yes.
it's just the gray area. And when you're
Mm,
in the gray area of being in that state of it's hypersensitive, or everything triggers you,
yeah,
all of that, you have to accept that being in that state means all that stuff's going to happen. So if you try and exercise and it flares up your headaches, you shouldn't be like, oh my God, this is never going to get better. What just happened? You have to be like, yeah, I'm in this state. So of course that's going to happen. And like taking the emotion out of it is a big piece of it.
yeah. That's huge. Yeah, I kind of like referred to it as, now understanding it, is gathering data. right? And I wear like a watch that tracks sleep and heart rate and this, and that's just data. It's not anything to get obsessed with or panic about, but it's also like really helpful. Like now I know when I have anxiety, my heart rate goes up, or like you just said, when I do this particular movement, I'm starting to notice the trends. So yeah, there is power in that. And if you can get out of that fear base, that's where you can start to utilize the power of data. Exactly. And that was a turning point for me.
So what about the gut health and inflammation?
Yeah. So
How is that, have you like find that to play a role, and what have you been able to do that can help?
yeah, so that was really interesting. So things kind of started with like we said, like kind of, okay, biomechanics. My posture clearly wasn't helping, right? Wasn't aware. So awareness of it and working on biomechanics. So a lot of
Right.
working on neck extensors, working on jaw stuff.
Coordinating the movement of the head, neck, and
Uh-huh.
shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah, like I just wasn't aware. Then there was the nervous system component, like the vagus nerve stuff, the narratives, all that. Then came in the kind of what I call like the trifecta, and again, all these things equal of importance. I just happened to start attacking it from biomechanics and nervous, but was
Right.
gut health. I was seeing a lot of progress, but still felt just this feeling of like I had systemic inflammation, right? Like
Okay.
I just felt like I would inflame really quickly over things. I would present symptoms that were aligned with just not digesting food properly. A lot of the brain fog stuff still was just like, hanging around fatigue. So I went to a functional medicine doctor because something you just mentioned earlier, which I think is really important. I went to every specialist in this and that, and everything came back normal, which was great, good to see, because it did provide, like you said, a little bit of that, like, okay, things, labs are normal thing, x-rays
Yeah. Yeah.
normal
Yeah.
on the
It's like your
cervical.
your body. Yeah.
But I
Dangerous.
was like, there's still something, right? So functional medicine's great because they do have an approach to kind of look more root, right, rather than specialty. So you go more root cause, like what could be a thing that's creating these symptoms, right? So microbiome testing is a great thing to get done. I'm a huge fan. I was a huge fan of it before all this, but now obviously I very much so am. And they test your poop. It sounds gross, but part of your body,
Yeah.
and it can tell a lot. And I think the thing to really understand about this holistic perspective of chronic pain, it's usually never one thing, right? And so learning that your gut being in balance, which is common, we ebb and flow throughout life. We're never perfectly
Right.
balanced, and it's not the goal. But when you get really out of balance, so you have some bad guys in there, pathogens that are overtaking, they took over, they're the captain now, you can get a lot of systemic, which means your whole body inflammation. I, up to that moment, had no idea that could be correlated to my neck pain, to my dizziness, and I
Right.
quickly learned it was a factor,
Mm.
which I know you have mentioned in terms of like, yeah, it can be deeper than just the biomechanics, right?
Yeah.
So that's been kind of the trifecta.
Just so the nervous system, the gut, and then
Yeah.
movement.
Yeah, and then movement. Yeah. And relearning movement. So that's kind of huge, right? So the simple things of how I sit, how I sleep, how I walk, how I run, like relearning in a way of again, just kind of more awareness.
Awareness of just your body movements.
Yeah, awareness of body movement, and I think where I hold the tension, where I'm maybe not aware. Previously I wasn't aware that I had created a lot of, especially in the neck, because that's where we kind of brace when we are on edge or stressed or don't feel safe.
So have you felt what is so in terms of what you're experiencing,
Yes.
is there still a part of it that's most prominent, that's most challenging? Or
Yeah, so kind of where I'm at is what we just kind of discussed on that trust component of,
yeah.
I know that I'm going to have days where things will pop up, right? For example, actually, this week was a great example. Super stressful week. I had so much going on. before the week even happened, because I was like looking at what it would entail,
Yeah.
I immediately had felt like, okay, I had jaw tightness, had a crazy headache going on. I felt a little bit of like just overall in the shoulder and cervical, and it made me freak out. I was like, I can't have this going on because it's a busy week. Like I don't have time for this.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's what happens.
yeah, and it really was like I almost went into that like emergency mode response. Like, let me get heat on. Let me do this. Let me. And so yeah, that's definitely what I'm struggling with now. Is the not freaking out, and then maybe then tools. So okay, that pops up, I'm gonna feel it, but a tool to alleviate the jaw, like stopping it from getting further, or
Mhm.
in the upper cervical.
Okay. And so what would you say that so are you working with clients like in a group format, like one-on-one? Like what do you
Yeah, so mainly work one on one right now. And it happened this way. I didn't intentionally do it, but it's pretty much all women that are between the ages of 20 to about 50 who are all dealing with chronic pain or an underlying, issue like an autoimmune disease, stress related issues. So there is a commonality of symptoms, and so many, almost all have TMJ, which I was like, wow, isn't this some interesting data?
So are you doing so the personal training piece of it, is that still like how do you incorporate that?
Yeah, so with everyone, I go through movement with them. Everyone's different. Some of it is just repairing their relationship with movement. Some of them it is working on just like recorrecting form or learning form to get to more strength training. Really depends, kind of where they're at in their journey. For women, as we get older, we lose muscle. That's something that
Right.
happens, sarcopenia. So I have quite a few perimenopausal, menopausal women where that's a main goal. So weight training is essential. For some people that are in their chronic pain journey, it's actually bringing down like the type of movement, maybe from they were doing crazy high intensity to kind of like softening the movement, learning how to open up, use it again to create a positive experience in the body. So yeah, movement is the tool that I know how to use with people.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so in terms of like energy, energy systems, like doing more like aerobic versus anaerobic versus strength training, how do you feel that that plays a role in just or how not only for yourself but working with others, like when it comes to really just the fitness component, like how do you feel each style of training like
Yeah,
benefit
like how
has
it
been
benefits.
or has been challenging maybe if someone
Mhm.
tries to do, more power versus anaerobic, like have you noticed trends with that? What people tolerate versus not?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. I came from like the background of like intensity hit,
Yeah.
boot camp style, right? Of
Mhm.
associating that with being the most effective. My perspective, because I see a lot of online debate right now about doing shorter snippets, almost like small bouts of higher intensity being best for
Mhm.
us. And then there's some people that are like, no, getting 10,000 steps and doing walking low intensity is best for us. And then,
Yeah.
like I mentioned, there's some categories where it's like strength training, like, no, you have to do that and not get your heart rate up too high.
Yep.
It is interesting. These are some observations I make because I don't believe that one is necessarily better than the other. I just think it's really conditional. In
Yes.
terms of people that are in maybe a chronic pain journey, sensitivity, like you said, like almost a nervous system sensitivity, autoimmune, some other, intrinsic imbalance going on, higher intensity tends to be less effective and harder for them to recover.
Mhm.
So there is that component of like it might feel so successful in the moment, like I just did that boot camp and I'm dripping and
Yeah,
my
yeah.
heart rate got up to 175 and awesome. Not saying, but there you have the most important thing with training is also looking at the recovery component, right?
Yeah.
So training, like working out, is a stress on the body. A good stress when we do it
Mhm.
correctly and for what the body needs, but sometimes that like power, higher intensity, like it's just not there, and then if you make your body do it, your recovery really takes a hit. For some people, then go like really deep into, chronic pain journeys and that kind of thing. Something like walking, you talk about this, and I'm so happy you do. Something like walking actually is medicine. Like it can help interrupt the loop, right? And
Yeah.
even if it's just for that day, so that like, more aerobic base. I think you talked about getting the heart rate up. What is it, about 20?
Yeah, just if you're in a hypersensitive state and anything is triggering headaches or neck pain,
Yeah,
even getting your heart rate up to 100 to 110 beats per minute, which
yeah,
you can't really calculate what zone that's going to put someone. It's going to be low though, very low,
yeah, yeah,
and aerobic, and just even starting with 3 minutes,
yeah.
and just seeing, can I tolerate that without any major flare of my symptoms, and then add another minute in the next day, and slowly build up to 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Because getting
Yeah.
20 minutes of aerobic exercise is like basically like the general like plant recommended dosage for everybody.
Yeah.
And if you
Yeah.
can't get that, to do two 10-minute bouts. So even
Yeah.
just starting very low is important. I mean, and when you look at, in terms of it, it just depends on people's goals. So it's like, if you look at a pro athlete, the
Mhm.
way they're training is, the goal is to perform at the sport. It's not for
Yes.
longevity, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it doesn't matter. I can guarantee you, I haven't looked this up, but I can guarantee you that if you look at all of the people who have lived the longest in this world, they probably didn't have a very high vertical leap. They couldn't bench press a
Yeah.
lot of weight. It's
Yeah.
usually like tiny,
Yeah.
tiny women who like
Yeah.
aren't even
Walk.
like slightly
Yeah.
overweight, but just walks every day. They
Yeah.
live
Yeah.
in the areas, so their legs are strong.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
was no like really hit training part of the life. They don't even know. They're like,
Hmm.
I cook and I walk and
Yeah.
I go to the basics. Now,
Yeah.
learning over time that the more muscle mass that you can build, especially at a younger age, and it's very
Hmm.
important as you get older, but like in the younger age, it's very important to be able to like get those reps in. Maintaining that muscle mass is going to help you as you get older. Like it's going to help you stay strong. It's going to help. So there's a direct correlation between walking speed and fall. There's a direct
Hmm.
relationship with old age and falling and lifespan. And
Yeah.
so like we know that if you can keep your walking speed up, then you have better balance. And so keeping your strength up is very important.
Hmm.
Keeping yourself very flexible, very important. If and so adding those things in is critical, but like when you look at the data, really just making sure you get some low dose cardio in is the main
Hmm.
thing. You can, and then it depends where you live. Like again, if you look at those books that study centenarians, they
Yeah.
have hilly areas,
Hilly.
so they're
Yeah.
live
Yes.
in a place that doesn't have that, then like trying to do some sprints or some like resistance training is going to
Yeah.
help find that. So there's just so many pieces of it. You always have to ask what your goal is.
Hmm.
One of the things too is that, growing up, like when I was working out, my goal was always to have like the biggest muscles I
Yeah.
could have and the leanest, the lowest amount of
Yeah.
body fat. And that was always what I always assumed was the definition like of health. Like, how
Of
can I not
health.
be healthy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at the way I look. But like,
Hmm.
that is really, and I'm kind of going on a tangent now, but like when you really
Hmm.
think about it, like that's a new westernized version of health. And it depends what you define as health. Is health to you to look good? Is
Yeah.
it to perform well at a specific activity, or is it to live long? And it's three
Mm.
totally different goals. And some people would say, like,
Mhm.
I love powerlifting.
Yeah.
And I'm going to shut that. I love powerlifting and I'll never give it up. And it might not help me live longer, but this is just what I love doing. And so
This is
that's
what
what
I
you
love.
do. That's what you
Yeah.
do. And
Yeah.
someone else may say, I love just like looking good. When I look in the
Yeah.
mirror, I keep my body fat as low as
Yeah.
possible. And they're like, I know I don't have to keep it this low. And I might be spending extra time and energy doing this. And it's
Hmm.
not for quote unquote health, but it makes me happy. So it
Hmm.
always starts with the goals.
I think that's huge. I think that's like such a good point you go over, and I can relate to having shifted like throughout my, like you just
Yeah.
mentioned when you were younger. So that's interesting too. Is I think it is what phase of life you're
That's
in
another
too to
piece of it.
match with your goal. Yeah, but yeah, it's so solid of a point, because I went through a period of time where I was kind of like I was looking for something to blame for the chronic pain of like, it was those years of heavy lifting. It
Right.
was those years I did bodybuilding competitions and I didn't eat carbs.
Yeah.
And so my body like went into fight or flight mode of, and like that's not part of
Right.
healing is going back and
Right.
finding a thing to blame. But it's just, I think how you just framed it was really great, is like, you just shift, like, what is my goal right now? Right? Like, what is my goal now? Okay, is being pain-free, and has my definition of health shifted to, I want to be able to walk up a flight of stairs when I'm older. And like, so it is very important to have that in your mind for your healing journey. Otherwise, it is a little bit of an aimless path,
absolutely.
right? Yeah. So very important part.
All right, cool. We're covering a lot here. I'm trying to think of,
Yeah.
from my perspective, it's, when you're in pain, it's like, it's not only the exercise selection, because
Mm-hmm.
exercise selection is a piece of it and it is challenging, but like most of the exercises that are going to get you better, you've seen before. So it's
Oh my
just,
God, so simple.
right.
So simple
Oh
and
yeah.
boring. I always say, hey,
Yeah,
gotta
it's
do
the
the
boring
boring
stuff. And
stuff.
so
Yeah.
the first piece is like knowing, like, is the exercise for me? And then if you have a bad experience with that
Yeah.
exercise, does that mean it's bad, or does that mean you have the right implementation? And
Mm.
so that's or
Or
modification. So
modification
that's a
of
big
it.
piece of it. And
Yeah.
then and then like through trial and testing, understanding is it a physical injury? Like when you think about
Yes.
lifestyle and the physical injury and the nervous system, what percentage of each is yours? Because everyone's going to be different. And like really the best way to do it is like
Yeah.
not to overanalyze it. You pick something and roll with it. Kind of like you
Mm.
said you did unintentionally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before you knew what you know now. You just go with something,
Unintentionally. Yeah.
then you start seeing how it works, and then
Yeah.
you start testing the next thing. But it's all about really controlling the variables. Like don't muddy the waters. Do
Mm.
something, move it, and then you make the
Yeah.
decision. Then if you keep following that process, before you know it, you're better. But when you say like, all right, I'm not going to do anything now. Oh, now I'm excited to do this. I'm going to do everything. And then like you don't learn from that. And then and then
Made that
before you
mistake.
know it, like a year goes
Yeah.
by, 2 years go by. So would you, for
Yeah.
anyone who's listening, like, would you leave them with anything in terms of like a starting point?
Yeah. I mean, in regards to movement, full transparency, I would, again, I'm really stubborn. Like sorry,
That's
there's a
right.
fly. Like get over the line. There, my personality is always been to push through. So I think that there's been moments in my life where that's worked. When I wanted to squat 315 back in the day,
Right.
I pushed through, I did it. So I think there was a huge, you can relate
Yeah.
to that if you're someone who can relate to how there's this huge unlearning process that actually revealed a whole other part of strength that I didn't have access to before, like strength in my body. And that was like really understanding how to bring things back to the most basic. When I tell you, I went from like crazy elaborate workouts, and I thought I had to keep doing like even more elaborate to impress Instagram, right? Like record the next cool video. I went from doing that for years and years, 10 plus years, to then, all right, let me just go for a walk today. I'm gonna walk and really focus on, because at that time, right, like plantar fasciitis, both feet. What is my foot trying to tell me, right? And I
Right.
went from it being like, man, screw my feet. Like, how could they do this to me? I love running. Take it away from it. Like, just angry. To okay, when stretching's not working, I would stretch the heck out of them. So why don't I use movement as the most basic movement as a tool to connect? So I'll go for walks, and like people probably looked at me going down the road like something wrong with her, because I would be like walking, looking down at my foot like really slow. I would stop. I would, and I start with the most basic. Then I would just start with, I'm gonna do a few squats in my room, like a few squats. Okay, didn't feel so good. How can I make a modification? And I had to put my ego aside. I really of like, number one, I had imposter syndrome. Like, I'm a freaking personal trainer. Can you see like this is what I do for a living, and I can't squat more than 3 times? Like, that's crazy.
Right.
Put that aside. And I had to be like, okay, how can I use movement's not my enemy? I did like heal that narrative piece, right? Of what we talked about with fear and all that. Not my
Yeah.
enemy. it can heal me, but mainly what will it tell me? And
Mm.
sometimes my workouts was, it was like 3 squats and a glute bridge. Like, and I
That's
had to start there. I had to start there and be okay with starting there and not think of like what was, what isn't, and I
right.
just had to be present. So that was huge. That's
Yeah.
really my biggest thing for people, because I think we all do too much
Yeah.
just on a daily basis, but especially when it comes to healing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You don't, it's bite size. If you can't stick to the plan, there's no point in doing it. And so
Yeah.
it's always starting slow, implement one thing, two things, really one thing, see how it
Yeah,
works,
really one thing.
next thing, and
Yeah.
just keep going and going and going. And
Yeah.
over
And
time you learn, because most people, the other thing is like, when you first have pain, you assume it's going to go away. So
yeah.
you don't, you're not really that disciplined about it, and you say like, oh, maybe I'll go to someone to fix me, like I'll go have someone put
Yeah.
their hands on me and do this, and
Yeah.
then I'll leave, and then I'll come back and
Externally
show up.
resource.
Yeah, and then
Exactly.
I'll come back and say, fix me again, and then don't
Yeah.
do it. And then
Yeah.
you finally hit a point where like, am I really going to have to learn how to learn my own body and like research? And no, I can't do
Mm.
that. So then you put it off again, and then eventually people get to the point where like, all right, I guess like I'm gonna have to like own this. And then once you start owning that process, that's what I notice. Like when someone comes to me or joins my group and they're like showing that ownership and they're like, I'm doing everything, they're taking notes. I'm like, okay, they're gonna get better because they like they're
Yeah.
in with that mindset. Um,
Yeah, and that's such a like shout out to you. That's like almost every practitioner, from chiropractor to massage to a specialty doctor, whoever it is, like that I've gone to and I hear client experiences with, is that's just it, is you form this, I call it external resourcing, but you form a codependency on, I have pain or I'm uncomfortable or I have this thing wrong. You go to the person, you get
mhm.
results.
Yep.
Obviously, we want it to last for a decent amount of time, but the reality is it's not going to if the root cause isn't being addressed. And
Yeah.
then it's a cycle. And then that itself, like that codependency, can form its brand new anxiety
Yeah.
of like, oh my God, I couldn't get into Dr. Joe. Oh my God, in a week, I
Yeah.
can't go a week like this, right? So shout
Yeah.
out to you. I think that's huge. And that's why, yeah, like so much of what you provide or suggest is so crucial, that you take the driver's seat as your own body, and you can go to someone like you to help navigate, but you have to be the one. And that was really, again, game changer for me, of like, all right, it's me and my body, like
Right.
I'm the one who's in this thing, like,
It's true.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
true.
so that's a really great perspective. I'm so happy that you instill in people. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, that might be a good note to leave off on, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
I think we've come
Awesome.
full circle with everything.
Yeah. No, I mean, just thank you to you,
Yeah.
because
Thank you to you too.
you help so many people. I mentioned to him before the live, he'll come up in conversations where people are like, you see this video of this guy? I'm like, yeah, it's Dr. Joe.
Yeah, like I'm
So
doing mine.
definitely, yeah. So thank you so much for making what can be a very overwhelming experience of chronic pain digestible, and something that, like, just take in stride. And that's my big takeaway for everyone too, in terms of what I've learned on my own journey as well.
No, yeah, and thank you for sharing that with everyone and for evolving too. Just like some people don't, but like you saying like,
Yeah.
what I know now, like that gets me so far, and now I need to do the next thing. That's the same thing I did, and so we got to do that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we'll
Awesome.
have to do this again sometime.
Absolutely. So great to see
All right, you too.
you. Bye.